Welcome to the podcast. Today, I have something really important for you, and it's something that I hear from so many independent consultants, and you might be thinking this about yourself too. And we've got to work through it, my friend, because you're running a business. You're running a business and you need to be able to sell. So if you're thinking I'm bad at business development, whether you think that broadly about yourself or whether you think it in certain situations, this is a critical component of being a business owner that you want to tackle. And I'm going to walk you through a process today of how to tackle it. So that's what we're talking about, being bad at business development. I was talking with one of my clients the other day, and he had reminded me that I've shared this story on the podcast before, but I think it's really relevant here that, I started out when I was in corporate. I was never a sales rep or account executive. I was, responsible for our professional services organization, but I would go out with the sales team all the time to help them land deals. And the CEO we would land a lot of deals. But the CEO would also call me sales repellent. And because that was never my focus. And so I share that with you just to commiserate a little bit that I used to think of myself as someone who was bad at sales as well, or bad at business development. But I want to share with you also that it's possible to get into another zone where you are really good at it without compromising any of your values. All right. So that's what I want to walk you through today. When you think I'm bad at business development, either broadly or situationally, and that's the story that you're running your business from, I can assure you it's going to slow you down and make the process of owning a business so much more painful. So that's what I want to share with you today is everything about overcoming that thought process of I'm bad at business development. So our agenda for today is we're going to talk first about the impact of quote unquote being bad at business development, why this topic even matters. And then we're going to look at it in two different ways. What if it's actually true that you are bad at business development? I don't know if you're repellent like I was, but it could be true that you're bad at it. So let's go down that path and figure out what to do about it. And then secondly, we're going to go down the other path, which is what if it's a lie that you're bad, that you're telling yourself that you're bad at business development, and what does that look like? And then we'll pull it all together with what I call the remedy for you. So that's what we're going to focus on here today. Before we get started, I wanted to just remind you or let you know about a really important checklist that I have for you on my website. It's called the 52 Income Producing Activities for Independent Consultants. And this is it's such a good complement to what we're going to be talking about today, because it gives you just a really quick head start on what you can be doing in your business to be creating income. This isn't about a bunch of different service models. This is about different ways for you to fill your pipeline and create income, create an overflowing pipeline. So go check that out. It's at melissalieberman.com/IPA for income producing activities. And that will give you some really good ideas that will hopefully break open this concept of getting better at business development. Okay. So with that, let's dive into first and foremost, the impact of being bad. So again, I hear this all the time from independent consultants. And quite frankly, even those that consult on selling. So they're working with their clients on setting, on refining and I'm not thinking of the right word, proceduralizing their sales process, right? So these are consultants who are experts in sales. That's what I'm trying to say. They even say to me, I'm not that great at selling myself. So again, you're in really good company here. Almost every independent consultant in some way, shape, or form that I talk to and work with tells me, look, Melissa, I'm just really bad at business development. And so you may be thinking you're really bad across the board with all type of sales, or you might be thinking it's really situational, like those consultants who consult on selling is more situational, like you're bad at selling yourself. But either way, as I was mentioning before, this is something that's really important to tackle in your business because obviously you don't have a business if you're not selling anything. Now, why are you doing this? Why are you thinking you're bad? Oftentimes it comes down to just if we just strip away the layers. I do this with clients so often. We strip away what someone tells me, a client tells me I'm really bad at selling. And so then we take it down a few layers, and really figure out that they aren't that bad. They've sold things before, including consulting, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars in consulting, but they still feel bad at it. And it's a way our human brain works of protecting ourselves. It's so strange how we do this. Like I'm going to tell myself I'm bad at this so that I feel better when I don't close a deal. And then what ends up happening is because we think we're bad at it, we don't show up as powerfully as we could in a sales process, in a business development process, and across the board. And we end up not landing a deal potentially and kind of creating a situation where it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So what are some other ultimate impacts of you thinking you're bad? Not necessarily that you are bad, but just thinking that you're bad at selling. The next one that I'll share with you is procrastination, right? You're going to end up procrastinating in some form of either lead generation or writing proposals or scheduling meetings with a potential client to gather their requirements and co-develop solutions. You can go back to episode 74. We talked about lead generation procrastination, but this really, I see time and time again, shows up across the board in little micro procrastinations. When you think you're bad at something, of course, you're not going to want to put yourself out there. Of course, you're not going to want to take the next step. Of course, you're going to delay sending that meeting invite or that proposal or that follow-up email, whatever it is that you want to and need to be doing. Of course, you're going to avoid doing it, procrastinate, then eventually rush through it, right? You delay, and then you end up rushing through it because now you've run out of time and ultimately sabotaging yourself. And when you think you're bad at something, and that's where your brain is kind of landed, it's just a fact, Melissa, I'm bad at business development or I'm bad at selling. Of course, you're going to have these behaviors of procrastination, of avoiding, of deferring, of rushing through something when you've run out of time, and ultimately not doing the type of work that you know you're capable of doing. You're still going to close work. You're still going to land new clients. But two things. Number one, it doesn't have to be this painful. And number two, your close rate can go up dramatically. And if you have a close rate that's really high, it's a really good sign that you could be charging a lot more for what you do. So those are all the ramifications. You know all of this. I'm reminding you. You thinking you're being bad, that you are bad at business development, creates this whole cycle whole vortex in your business that is not fun. You're running a business so that you can have autonomy, so that you can have unlimited income potential, so you have full control over things. There's no reason to torture yourself, my friend. Okay, so that's the impact of thinking that you're bad at business development or potentially being bad at business development. Like I said, I think usually what I find is both things are true. You might be bad at business development. That could be true. I'm going to walk you through what that looks like here in a second. It could also be true that you're lying to yourself and you aren't as bad as you think you are. Both of those things I find are typically really true. And that's great. That's great news because there's always room for growth, and you already are running a business. You're already landing clients. You're already making money. So both of these things can be true, and you can improve and scale your business as a result of improving. But if you bury your head in the sand about this and just think that it's a fact that you're bad and you're just going to have to work around it, that's where we don't want to end up. Okay, so let's talk about what if it is true? Then what? Here's the example, the analogy I want to give you. I've been my youngest son, he just started in first grade. So he's like back from the summer, they learned how to read in kindergarten, and he's back from, and we did reading over the summer, but he's back, and now it's like serious business in first grade. You go from like these fun classroom with all these cool tables and sleeping, napping mats, into like desks and pencil boxes, and it seems very serious. Anyway, like he's gotta up his game from a reading perspective. This is no more, do I know my alphabet? This is them reading, what was the word we read the other day? Laughing or something like that. Like, how do you know that the GH sounds like an F? Anyway, so this first grader, we're working on reading. And it just really stands out to me in stark contrast because my middle son, he's now in third grade. And so it's recent enough that I've gone through this experience with both of them to compare their experiences of learning to read. And I want to give this to you as an example because I think it's so relevant to the growth that you have as a business owner in learning to sell your services. So this first grader, he's so relaxed. He doesn't think he's good at it. He doesn't think he's bad at it, reading. He just is relaxed. He's like, this is great. I'm learning something new. And so as we go through the process of learning, these readers, levels 1, 2, all the way, the way they organize things, he's not putting any pressure on himself. We lay in bed reading these books, he's sounding things out, he's making educated guesses, he's honestly laughing at his mistakes. He doesn't think should have been born with the ability to read. He doesn't think that he should be good at reading just because he's good at other things. For example, he doesn't think just because he's good at soccer that he should be really good at reading. Now, you probably know where I'm going with this. Just because you're amazing at something doesn't mean like the work you do with your clients. And we'll get to that in a minute because there are so many parallels. But just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean that you're automatically going to be good at something else. Just because you're of the age you are doesn't mean that all of us, you either the ship has sailed and you're never going to be good at business development because it's just not something that you were born with as the skill or you've cultivated early in your career. So somehow the chance is over, right? When you approach business development, if it's true that you're bad at business development, which again, I don't believe it is, but let's just say for a minute that it is in some way. When you approach it like my first grader, laughing at your mistakes, not putting so much pressure on yourself, not thinking that you should have been born somehow with this ability to be good at business development and selling, of course you're going to acquire and create and build these skills faster. Now let's contrast that with my middle son. You've met him on the podcast. He introduced one of them when I had laryngitis. He's in third grade. He's amazing, but he probably has some of my genes. He gets very frustrated very quickly when he's not good at something automatically. When he started reading in, kindergarten, first grade, he automatically decided he was bad at it. He would get super frustrated. I would get notes from the teacher. Like he like crumpled up his paper again and threw it in the trash because it wasn't going well. and he's getting better at this. But if you're doing that, of course it's going to be. So let me finish the story and then I'll make it a parallel to you. So anyway, he gets so frustrated with himself, and it makes it so difficult. Every night he's like dreading the process back when he was in first grade compared to my, the third son, right? So frustrated, didn't want to do it, didn't want to read more than one page, didn't, it was like pure torture. He knew he had to do it. He definitely wanted to do, quote unquote, all of his homework. And so he would do it, but it was just so painful, so painful. And I want to share with you this particular contrast with you for two reasons. First of all, notice for yourself how much, where the parallel is for you. If you think you're bad at business development, just like he thought he was bad at reading, you're going to get through it, but it's so much more painful. The second parallel I want to give you is that I was there helping him, right? I didn't agree with him. I didn't say, yeah, I agree, you're bad at business development. I helped him figure out what he could do, where, and build up his confidence, right? I emphasized what he was mastering, and helped him study the areas and use techniques for the areas of learning to read that were harder for him. So for you, I share this with you for two reasons. Number one, when you think you're bad at something, remember, if you've had kids, how much harder it is to learn when you're thinking you're bad at it. How much harder it is to get better when you're thinking you're bad at it. And at the same time, here's the technique for you. Separate yourself. Either get a coach, give me a call, or think about it for yourself. You're both the CEO and the sales rep in your business. Just like I was the reading teacher at night for my son, and he was the reader, right? You're the CEO and you're the sales rep. What would you be saying to yourself when you think you're bad at business? When you think you're bad at business development? You wouldn't be saying, yeah, I agree. You are bad. I mean, my CEO told me I was bad because he knew that would motivate me when he called me sales repellent. But yeah, if that motivates you, great, then call yourself sales repellent. But I'm thinking that it doesn't. That's why you're here. So really think about separating yourself out into these kind of two personas and coaching yourself through the process to improve and increase your skill level here. So hopefully those examples of teaching my two kids, two of the three, to read, or at least I'm not going to say I taught them, for sure I didn't, but supporting the teachers and teaching them to read, hopefully that really resonates with you. When you think you're bad at something, take my first grader, the youngest son's approach. Take the pressure off yourself, laugh at your mistakes, really get curious about how you can improve and how you can, continue to get better and augment what you've already learned with each and every interaction that you have with potential clients. All right. So that's the first method, right? Let's really, if it is true that you are bad at business development, those are some of the techniques that you can implement in order to start improving upon that skill set from a mental perspective. Then the second thing I want to share with you is, what if you're lying? What if you're lying to yourself that you're bad? Again, I think it's usually both. You might not be that great at some things because you weren't born with this particular skill set. And you probably are lying to yourself in some way. And honestly, I'm calling you out on this in a loving way. You're lying to yourself because we do that as humans. We lie to ourselves. We give ourselves the least amount of credit to protect ourselves from feeling bad. I mean, that's the root of it. And so let's just talk a little bit about how it could be a lie that you're bad. This is what I find time and time again as I start unpacking this with my clients, figuring out what their skill level is from a business development perspective. We always uncover everything they know about sales. They tell me, I had a client the other day, he was describing to me we were talking about what he was advising his clients to do from a sales perspective to generate more revenue. He's not even a a consultant who helps his clients with sales per se, but it's something that he does, and it's most likely something that you do as you're working with your clients, helping them to figure out how to increase their revenue, helping them to figure out how to increase what they're selling, those types of things, right? As he described everything to me, I said, you know exactly what you're doing from a sales perspective. The only issue is that you're not doing it for yourself. And I would be really confident to say for you that I know you are a consultant. You're here because you're a consultant. Consultants' jobs, in large part, are persuading someone or some group of someone's to do something. That's selling. It doesn't even have to be around the topic of selling, right? It can be about anything. You're persuading people to make changes in their behaviors. You're persuading people to take action. You're getting your clients to buy into a plan or a process that you've recommended to them. You're getting them to give you information about what's happening in their ecosystem and making recommendations about how to improve it. This is what you do all day long. You're also uncovering why they're not taking action or why they're having challenges in their organization and helping them move forward. What that's called in a sales cycle is overcoming objections. Everything you do as a consultant are the same things you do as someone running a business development process. You're understanding what their challenges are. You're understanding why they haven't done anything about those challenges. You're understanding why they want to do something about the challenges they're having or the goal that they're trying to accomplish. And you're crafting a plan for them. It just happens to be that you're asking for money at the end of that process versus when you're a consultant, they've already paid you or agreed to pay you. That's the only difference. It's kind of like this imaginary wall between the two processes, right? Imagine an imaginary wall. And on the left-hand side of the wall is all the things you do to acquire a new customer. And on the right-hand side of the wall are all the things that you do after you've acquired the customer and you're delivering for them. Somehow you have amnesia on the left-hand side. You don't apply all of the skills that you already have when you're delivering to the business development process. So that's why I'm saying that it very well is a lie that you're bad. A lie you're telling yourself, not nefariously, but subconsciously to protect yourself from that time or those times that you get rejected or feel like you didn't do a good job. That's all. So that's what I really want to share with you today. And then we're going to wrap up here with the remedy to feeling bad at business development. But that's really important to say, you know what? I'm probably not that great at business development right now, or I might be good and I just want to continue to improve so I can make more money and work less in my business. And I'm not giving myself credit for what I already do know and how I already am good at business development and what I can build upon that as well. Look at both sides of this. So here is the remedy as we wrap up today, the remedy to feeling bad at business development for you as an independent consulting business owner. The first step is get into my first graders mentality. Be willing to make mistakes without making it such a big deal. Also, get into my third grader's process, right? He was in first grade at the time, but you see what I'm saying. My middle son's process here. Think about he and I used. Separate yourself. Think about yourself as the CEO and as the sales rep, and coach yourself through it, just like I coached him to be so much less frustrated. He's not wrinkling up his paper, you know what I'm saying, scrunching up his papers and throwing them in the trash anymore, luckily. So get into that mentality. The first graders, no pressure, I'm willing to make mistakes mentality. The middle sons, mentality of, or that process that we use, we're kind of separating out into two personas, and get yourself into the place where you are able to grow your skills from a business development perspective. So that's the first step, getting into a really productive mentality. Then the next step of the remedy is for you to evaluate and iterate. Again, this isn't a hard and fast, I'm bad or I'm good. This is you continuously learning and purposefully reviewing what's going on so that you can get better. I find that so many independent consultants completely miss this step, and it is so important. Doing after action reviews for your sales process, throughout your sales process and at the end of the sales process, so you can continue to refine it. Don't bury your head in the sand because it feels bad to go back and look at what didn't go well, and to not give yourself credit for what did go well. Make sure that you've baked in this evaluate and iterate process throughout your business, quite frankly, but especially throughout your business development process. So that's the second part of the remedy to feeling bad at business development. The first is getting into the productive mentality. The second is really baking in processes throughout your business development steps to evaluate and iterate and continuously improve. And to also give yourself credit for what is going well as part of that after action review. This is something that I teach my clients to do. Doing these after action reviews are so powerful. And then the last part of this remedy is for you to purposefully build up your business development identity. When you just constantly reinforce this idea that you are bad at business development, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now I've got to bring this is kind of impromptu, but I got to bring my oldest son into the mix here. I was at his he just started middle school, and I was at his middle school parent night last night. And the math teacher, it was so amazing. I was so excited to meet this math teacher. He said, "Look, I have one request for you as parents. This is the request to how you can best support your students. Stop telling and like promoting this idea that people are bad at math." He's like, don't say I'm bad at math to your child. When they hear you say I'm bad at math, then they're going to think there's a thing that people are bad at math, and there isn't a thing that people are bad at math. That just shuts them down from being able to learn. And I thought that was so important. It's just exactly what we're talking about here today. Build up your business development and identity. Get to the place where if you can't get to the place where it feels truthful that you're good at business development, then at least give yourself credit that I'm getting better at business development as an identity versus I'm bad at business development. And this is something that, as part of this remedy, building up your business development identity is something that is really important for your success as a business owner to actively work on every single day until it's second nature. This is something else that I really work on with my clients, is helping them create an identity that aligns to what they want to accomplish as a business owner. It's so important to run your business from a business owner's identity than from a former employee's identity or from a consultant's identity. You are a business owner. Running your business from a business owner's identity is something that's incredibly important. And in this context, looking at and thinking about every day, your identity as a business owner includes being good at business development. So get yourself there where it feels like second nature. All right. So that's the remedy. I'll just run down this one more time to pull it all together. Get into that productive mentality. Evaluate and iterate by doing after action reviews so that you can continuously grow in your business development outcomes at the end of the day, right? And then lastly, purposefully build up and cultivate that business development identity as part of you being a business owner. All right, that's what I have for you today. Be sure to go download that checklist of 50, I think it's 50, maybe 52 income producing activities at melissalieberman.com/IPA. And if you are really looking to grow and scale your consulting business and feel like you're kind of stuck in a plateau and you want to be able to move further faster, reach out to me. I would love to talk with you about private coaching and we can figure out if it's a good fit. All right. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again next week. Take care.